After everything Boruto has done to bring his family back, he's going to end up dying alongside Sarada at Kawaki's hands. But eventually, Kawaki will also be defeated by Code and devoured by the Ten Tails. The planet would be destroyed and the God Tree would grow. It wasn't because of the reincarnation of Jiraiya or Gamamaru. Prescience. It's an extraordinary ability and might be called a god or something. Because with that ability, a person can see all the future that will happen. And KASHIN Koji is one of the people AMADO created to have that ability. And the reason why it can happen is because every human made by AMADO is transplanted shibai cells to his artificial humans, such as Code, Aida, KASHIN Koji, and others. And the purpose of the transplant is to get one of the shinjitsu possessed by shibai otsutsuki. But even though every AMADO artificial human is transplanted by shibai cells, it is not 100% that they will get the ability of one of the shinjitsu that otsutsuki shibai has. But to get the ability of one of the shinjitsu, the biggest factor is luck. But the point is, where did AMADO get shibai otsutsuki cells? Oh yeah, today is my day. The complete story of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 13 has been officially released. Today we will reveal exactly what happened in Chapter 13. Because with the spoilers that we have seen yesterday, it turns out that there are still some that do not match the official story. And today I have summarized in full and easy for you to understand. But before I explain everything, please like and subscribe, guys. If you want to ask something or reveal other things, use the hashtag #AskNim in the comments, guys. Thanks. The story begins with Boruto as the cover in this story. Jiraiya has decided to kill Boruto after he reveals and finds out about the Thorn Soul Bulb. Through his Rinnegan eyes, Jiraiya has prepared to shoot the dying Boruto. But when Jiraiya was preparing to shoot and say farewell to Boruto, unexpectedly another Shinju appeared from the claw marks on Jiraiya's robe. We finally get the true identity of the one we've known as Shinju Bug. His real name is Mamushi. The appearance of Mamushi seemed to make luck for Boruto. Jiraiya, who was preparing to shoot Boruto, finally did not continue because of the arrival of Mamushi. But Mamushi's arrival was to provide information to Jiraiya if the Matsuri had returned. Apparently, from Mamushi's information, Jiraiya seems to have ordered Matsuri to track down information about Boruto after, in the previous episode, Boruto had revealed what the Thorn Soul Bulb was. Boruto has an accomplice. And finally, Jiraiya has now learned that the information about the Thorn Soul Bulb that Boruto got was from his intel source. Then, Mamushi, who saw Jiraiya holding the Thorn Soul Bulb, already thought that it was Hidari who had lost. But the point is that after Mamushi gave information about Boruto, Jiraiya recognized that their enemy was not an ordinary person, and that's why he decided to retreat. Because if Jiraiya was selfish and insisted on continuing to attack Boruto and the others, the soul of the Hidari Thorn would rot. Jiraiya looked at Boruto from a distance and declared him a lucky man. It's as if the heavens are decreeing that you remain alive. Perhaps this is some divine intervention. Boruto is dying and semi-conscious, and suddenly we see the past after his fight with Sasuke against the Code. Some shinobi are seen looking for Boruto, who is hiding. But at the same time, a frog appears behind him and calls him. The appearance of the frog makes Boruto surprised after he gives information that there are about 20 people who are after him. But the frog says with Boruto's current cornered condition, Boruto cannot kill those who are innocent. But when Boruto felt that the frog was a threat, he was ready to hold his sword to attack the frog. But the frog made it clear that he was not his enemy. Because if he was his enemy, maybe with Boruto's hiding place discovered, he would report it to them right now instead of talking to him. Boruto, who was still suspicious and prepared if the frog was a threat, he held his sword and asked what he wanted. Then the frog explained that with the current situation and conditions, the first thing to do was to run away and only then continue this conversation. The frog instructed Boruto to put his hands on his back, but because Boruto was hesitant about it, the frog emphasized once again that there was no time to hesitate and think about other things. Wherever the destination was, definitely much better than his current situation. And instantly Boruto, who followed the frog's instructions, was transported to Orochimaru's relic base. And it was KASHIN Koji who did it. He used the summoning jutsu technique, or commonly known as the Kuchiyose technique. And after Boruto's arrival and meeting KASHIN Koji, this will be a long conversation, but so that you can easily understand and not too much nonsense. I have summarized the essence of some of these talks in detail. First, Boruto and Kashin Koji's hideout is located near Wind Country, and it is one of Orochimaru's abandoned bases. And even so, Kashin Koji has used genjutsu to disguise the entrance and exit of this place, so that they will not easily find it. Second, the frog that Boruto talks to is a ninja science tool. Although it looks similar to a real frog, it is man-made. Kashin Koji can control the frog with his chakra from a great distance. And because of that, Kashin Koji will easily track Boruto without having to show his true form. Third, Boruto initially did not recognize who Kashin Koji was. But when he put his mask back on, Boruto began to realize that he was the one who had killed Uncle Ao and also tried to kill Konohamaru. Fourth, Kashin Koji proved that he was affected by Aida's omnipotence power. Even though in his memory Boruto was a member of Kara and became an Ishiki vessel, Kashin Koji still remembered that he and AMADO worked together to help him escape from that place. But even so, Kashin Koji thought that his memory was wrong. Fifth, Kashin Koji admits that he does not know about the power called omnipotence, but he actually understands what the results of that power are. He also knows the day Boruto was expelled from the village and people's memories of Boruto and Kawaki have changed completely. Sixth, Boruto was surprised to find out that Kashin Koji correctly remembered the situation and conditions that actually happened, even though obviously his memory had been affected by omnipotence. And because of that, Boruto was really surprised when Kashin Koji understood that far objectively. But even though Kashin Koji's mind was affected by omnipotence, he had known about it before the situation came true. Seventh, Kashin Koji explains that he is a human made by AMADO. In addition to being created to defeat Ishiki, he also has a mission to stop the Divine Tree's plan to destroy the planet. But despite having to fight Ishiki, he realizes that his strength far exceeds his mind. And when his fight against Ishiki, he is completely defeated and is on the verge of death. But as he approaches death, everything happens suddenly. He sees a series of scenes in the future that appear one by one in front of his eyes. Starting from Kawaki defeating Ishiki by making him fail in making his vessel, Code, who created Claw Grimes, and Aida, who activated omnipotence to completely change all human memories of Boruto and Kawaki. Kashin Koji realized that everything he saw might happen in the future, and it turns out that's not all he saw in the future. There are several members created from Jubi fragments. They are called Shinju, with one new member that we have seen will appear in chapter 14. He is similar to Shinki. And on the verge of death after fighting Ishiki, Kashin Koji realizes that even though Ishiki isn't dead, it's not over as long as the 10 tails themselves are destroyed. And because of that, the planet will remain in danger. And from there, as Kashin Koji was dying, he decided to stay alive and not die in this place because there was still something to do. Although at that time, Kashin Koji had seen everything that happened in the future, now he would convince and deepen the understanding of the abilities he had. The way he did was by comparing the series of views he saw at that time with the reality that had actually happened. Eighth, as it turns out, even though Kashin Koji already understood about Kawaki and Boruto's positions being switched due to omnipotence, it still brought back his memory of the true facts if the Hokage's son was Kawaki from the beginning. And that means, even though Kashin Koji already knows the original situation because he can see the future, the ability of omnipotence will change and restore something that has been changed. And the conclusion is the same as when Boruto told Shikamaru about who Kawaki really was. At first he understood and realized what Boruto proved, but not long after that, his mind returned to its original state, which proved what Boruto said was wrong, and Kawaki was the son of the Hokage. Ninth, the ability Kashin Koji has to see the future is one of the shinjitsu possessed by the god known as Otsutsuki Shibai. But let me explain a little bit about Otsutsuki Shibai. He is one of the otsutsuki who can probably be called a god. In the past, he was an otsutsuki who once devoured countless planets. Thanks to all that he did in the past, he acquired all kinds of shinjutsu, and that is also the reason why he is called a god. And because, as a Kara member, AMADO strengthens and modifies every artificial human to be transplanted with shibai cells. The purpose of AMADO doing that is none other than to manifest one of the many shinjitsu that Otsutsuki Shibai has. But even though all have been transplanted by shibai cells, it does not rule out failure. because whether or not you succeed in gaining that ability is down to luck. And if you're still a little confused about what Kashin Koji said about shibai cell transplants, the simple thing is that when AMADO makes them, one of their organs is replaced or changed with someone else's cells. And the result of the shibai cells that were transplanted to them, for example, the code that can make claw marks, then Daemon can reflect all attacks. Simply put, everyone who attacks him, if Daemon uses that ability, then the attack will return to the user. And the last is Aida, who has godlike abilities. For example, changing the minds of mankind on Earth. Then for Boro, Delta, and Kashin Koji, they didn't get any of Shibai's shinjitsu abilities. But during Kashin Koji's fight against Ishiki that ended with Kashin Koji dying, that power suddenly manifested in his body. And that ability to see all of the future was called Prescience. And the 10th point, although the future series seen by Kashin Koji has a high probability of occurring in the future, it can still be changed. Especially the plot that connects the present and the future is not single or can be said to be only one road, but rather it is branching. So even though in the future there will be a bad situation, that destiny can be changed if everyone wants to try to change it. Because basically life has a branching and complex storyline. And as an example of a future that was successfully avoided was when Naruto was killed. Ishiki reincarnated into Kawaki's body, and then the planet was destroyed because of the god tree he planted. If you still don't understand this, the point is that the ability that Kashin Koji saw initially saw that Naruto died and Ishiki reincarnated in Kawaki. But because of the branching paths of life and the efforts they made, they were able to avoid that fate. Although at that time Naruto lost after using Brayon mode, Kawaki managed to change the fate and deceive Ishiki by using Kagebunshin when he wanted to reincarnate into Kawaki's body. Kashin Koji admitted that the probability at the time was very high, but in reality it was not the case now. And another example is when the day that Kawaki disappeared, the 8th Hokage made Boruto and Kawaki fight. As a result, Boruto was killed, and Sarada Uchiha, who tried to stop the two of them, actually met the same fate as Boruto. At the time of the incident, the two of them did not swap positions like now. And the result after Boruto and Sarada were killed, Kawaki fought with Code, who had extraordinary strength, and made the hope of winning for Kawaki non-existent. And finally, because Kawaki was defeated and he was eaten by the Ten Tails, the planet was finally destroyed because of the Divine Tree. But the reality seen in the future is like that. Aida at that time helped Kawaki to use omnipotence. The fate that Boruto should have died because he did not exchange with Kawaki finally did not happen. But the bad thing is that Boruto's position has now exchanged with Kawaki. And that means that there are still many bad events in the future that can change based on life that is not only one way. And the 11th point. After all the sequences and simulations seen and happening in the present were explained to Boruto, he was skeptical and might have said that this would be a waste and nothing to gain. But Kashin Koji said, the biggest advantage is intel. For example, your life on the run. It could prevent you from ending up cornered like earlier. Not only that, after Kashin Koji stated about what he saw in the future, another advantage is that he can teach the techniques that Boruto has acquired in the future and then teach him in the present. And that way Boruto will get it faster and the effectiveness of his training will increase. But besides that, there is one thing we need the most. Saving Sasuke from the tree. But unfortunately, that is not explained for now because according to Kashin Koji, there is something more important than that. A worst-case scenario that could happen in the future when the Ten Tails will break free from the code and evolve into something new. They will likely show up before us as multiple divine tree people who possess individual minds. But it can be avoided if Boruto and Kashin Koji can overcome the Ten Tails as the root of the problem. But unfortunately, to succeed in doing that has a very low probability. Because in nearly all the futures, Kashin Koji see there are divine tree people. And the most dangerous is their leader, a man named Jura. And in the end, in the future, Boruto will die killed by him. But in essence, even though it will end so, this all goes back to what was explained at the beginning, that with a future that is already clearly visible, but this is still a possibility to thwart or change the destiny that is already visible. Because of this bad future, they will try and not let the bad future be realized. And what they are doing now is a small part of changing the future, because by knowing the information and what is happening, every second they have changed the route that will happen in the future. The 12th point. After everything explained by KASHIN Koji, Boruto at that time was determined not to care about what strategy to obstruct the God Tree's plan. But one thing is certain, he does not agree if the choice is to kill Kawaki. And not only that, Boruto also said, because knocking sense into my idiot bro and restoring the Uzumaki household is my goal. Boruto, who then took Sasuke's headband and put it on, he also stated, so don't bother wasting your breath, I'll do it. Finish off Code and 10 Tails both. And that's 12 main points of what happened in Chapter 13 about what KASHIN Koji explained. If this helps, please like and subscribe, guys. Then we move on after everything happened. Now, Boruto is slightly conscious with his eyes starting to open, but when Boruto wants to get up, Sumire, who is beside him, forbids him not to move first. Then, when Konohamaru pays attention to the injured Sarada, Sarada states that she is fine and asks Konohamaru to help Boruto instead. Then we also see Himawari, who has woken up from her stupor after losing to Jura. But strangely, Himawari seems to recover quickly. She runs to Sarada and heals her wound with Kurama Chakra. Sure enough, Sarada's wound is completely healed. Konohamaru was surprised to see Himawari suddenly recover and heal Sarada's wounds. But when Sumire asked Himawari to help Boruto, Kawaki forbade it. Sarada looked so upset with Kawaki's attitude, but Kawaki argued that there were things that had to be done first. And sure enough, Kawaki glanced at Konohamaru and he carried out the plan they had planned. Exactly, catch Boruto, because an opportunity like this won't come twice. Konohamaru told Sumire to step aside and he handcuffed Boruto's hands from behind. The handcuffs are a sealing device made by AMADO that aims to make Boruto unable to use any jutsu. The Sarada are still so upset and do not accept Konohamaru's treatment of Boruto. But they still do that and will dig up the information that Boruto has and will report it to the Hokage. In addition, the Kawaki also took the KASHIN Koji frog and destroyed it. Instantly, KASHIN Koji began to realize that this would be a bad thing in the future. Then, in a Shinju dimension, Jura placed a thorn of Hidari's soul and placed it on top of the black cube. And when the root began to bind the thorn's soul, Hidari had reappeared. But after Hidari was completely back, it turned out that he still remembered about his identity, and his consciousness as Hidari was still intact. Then we see Matsuri, who asks Jura, "Isn't it time?" It seems that if you look from the tree, there is one of the fruits that grows and is ready for harvest. It looks like the thorn of Hidari's soul. Matsuri really can't wait to see what will appear. And so Jura told her to harvest, and after that, Matsuri put it on the black cube like reviving Hidari. Now, what to name you? That's what Jura said when they successfully created a new Shinju. But I'm a little suspicious if it's not a Shinki. Or is it a Shinki? What do you think, guys? I understand a little bit how they are created. At first, the human will be sealed by the tree, and when the tree starts to absorb the chakra or soul of the human, then the result will be like a thorn fruit ready for harvest. Does this make sense, guys? And that's the complete story and explanation of Boruto Chapter 13. If you have other questions or other theories, I will discuss them if you use the hashtag AskNim. Like and subscribe. I'm Nim. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye, Dadabayo.